Thank you so much for making time to join us today to talk about this concept that many of us may already be familiar with, but perhaps some questions about School of Record. My name is Anthony Ogden. I'm here with Gateway International Group, and I'm joined by my colleagues who I'll introduce here momentarily. But let me just first say that the chat is you can communicate with the host and panelists in the chat, or you can also use the Q&A function, because we're really only going to have a very short presentation, but we're really going to leave a lot of time for Q&A because we know many of you have lots of questions. And if you would like to share this presentation with others, it will be recorded. And so you'll be able to come to our website and you'll be able to watch the recording a bit later. Again, everybody, welcome. Today I'm joined by my long-term friend and colleague and ally with our School of Record Services here within Gateway. We have Dr. Ann Hubbard. Ann, would you like to say hello?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I've had a long career, like Tony, in education abroad, and most recently was at the University of Minnesota, which is a very long established school of record. And now I'm working on school of record projects. So good to be here.
Thank you, Ann. And folks, if you may have noticed, I'm coughing a little bit all of a sudden. I don't know why, but Ann will take over for me if I just keep coughing, right, Ann? Thank you very much. And folks, we also have with us today, we have Dr. Donna Anderson, also a long-term friend and colleague. She is the SIO, or the Executive Director of Global Engagement at the University of Montana, a most beautiful part of our country here. Donna.
Great. Thanks for the introduction, Tony. Great to be here. I've been in the field for about 30 years, starting at Loras College in Iowa, then served as SIO and headed the education abroad programs at the University of Wisconsin-Platteville, and then made my way to the University of Montana here as SIO in 2019. And as Tony said, it is indeed a beautiful part of our country. We've been serving here as a school of record for a number of programs, probably for the past 15 or 20 years. So I'm happy to be in this conversation today. Thanks.
And you're serving as a school of record for quite a few institutions or organizations right now, including several that we've helped you to work with. And so I'm excited to hear more about that, Donna. Thank you for being here. Also joining us, we have Mats Mueller. He is the founder and director of Broadreach. This is a long-running education abroad program, but some of you may be hearing Broadreach for the first time. And the reason for that is that they are primarily working at the high school level. And many, as we know, many education abroad providers do exist in that space, and those students are using Broadreach not only for their own learning and enrichment, but also earning college credit. And Mats will tell us a little bit more about that. But for now, Mats, would you say hello and introduce yourself?
Hi, thank you, Anthony. Yeah, I'm Mats Mueller. I've been a part of Broadreach. I'm not actually the founder, but I've been a part of Broadreach for virtually all of its 30-year history, acting in a number of different roles, from initially as a field leader to an operations manager, program director, and now director and owner of Broadreach organization.
Well, sorry for that mistake, Mats, but I'm so glad you're here. In 30 years, I'm sure you have a lot to share. Folks, if you haven't already visited their website, you really have to, because it's quite an entertaining website, as well as it is as informative. And also we have with us Sergey Semenov from Learn Russian in European Union. This is a long-running program. And folks, it's not in Russia. Sergey, where is the program located? Tell us all about it.
Okay, thank you, Tony. Learn Russian in the European Union, as you may understand, works in the European Union. We are based in Daugavpils, the largest Russian-speaking city of the European Union and NATO. That is why we are able to provide full language immersion without operational, legal, or security risks related to Russia right now. Yeah, and we work with universities, with service academies, with government institutions, providing a huge portfolio of different courses, starting from semester abroad up to fully customized projects. And thank you for inviting me to speak at this webinar, because we are really happy to work with Gateway, and thanks to your absolutely brilliant team, we hope that it will be completed very soon. Yeah, thank you, Tony.
Well, thank you, sir. It's an honor to be working with you, and it's an honor to be working with all of you today. Folks, I'm looking over the attendee list, and I recognize so many people in the room today. All of us, many of us here today have been working in international higher education space for decades, in fact. And the concept of school of record is not a new concept by any measure, but the growth and the enhancement of education abroad over recent decades have required more engagement with this concept of school of record, with many providers, really good program providers like the two that are represented here today, that need a school of record, both to grow their enrollment and to ensure credit transferability for their participants. But today's session is primarily focused for universities and colleges interested in becoming a school of record. So our orientation today is going to be focusing on that area of this. However, I recognize, because of the names in the room, I recognize many providers are also in the room today, both trying to maybe learn more about what it means to work with a U.S. institution as a potential school of record partnership. So today we're going to try to orient some of our comments. But again, we're going to be pretty fast at the first half of this hour, but most of our time will be there for you to ask questions. And you can ask questions to me, but more importantly to our guest here today about how the school of record works, whether you're at an institution or at a provider. Now I'm sharing my screen here, and I have to start with a little bit of promotion, don't I? And that is, if you were so kind as to go to the Gateway International Group website and you make your way to our School of Record Services, there is a document there. It's a document basically on how it all works. So whether you're representing an institution or a provider organization, this document just basically is a how-to guide. It's free, it's downloadable, and you might want to take a little bit of time and read over that if you haven't already. And by the way, if you have any edits, let me know too. But we really want this document to be helpful to everybody here today and everyone else as you're exploring these types of partnerships. So take a moment and scan that little QR code, which I learned how to do just the other day. Okay, now, when you do visit that website, you're going to see various current Gateway clients on that website. And we're bringing in, fortunately, other providers in on a regular basis who are looking for schools of, for a school or schools of record. And first, and we've already met here, Sergey, he is with, again, the Learn Russian in the European Union. And so if you go to our website, you'll be able to download a prospectus about LREU, and that will give a little bit more information about who they are as an organization, what type of partnership they're looking for. And as you scroll throughout that page on our website, you'll see other prospectuses for other partners that we're working with. Sergey, before I jump forward into the School of Record portion here, is there anything else that you would like for our viewers to learn about LREU?
Oh, perhaps I can say several words about the history of our operations. So we started in 2004. The idea was pretty clean, to be a provider of study abroad programs for foreigners who want to study in Russia. To study Russian, but prefer to do this inside the European Union and NATO. Each year we work with approximately 200 students, and Americans make more than 85% of our audience. So the United States are our primary market. We do, as I mentioned before, semester abroad, summer programs. We transfer credits at Daugavpils University, who is our current school of record. And our strategic advantage is the location. Again, Daugavpils is the largest Russian-speaking city in the European Union. So that's what we do, and that is why we are seeking for this School of Record partnership. Tony, should I answer your questions about the purpose and our expectations, or we can leave it for later part of this webinar? What do you think?
Tony, you're on mute.
Oh,
Sorry, folks. I'm trying to avoid this coughing. Sir, let's wait for a moment to address those particular questions as
okay,
we go a
good.
bit further into the question. But thank you for that overview.
Yeah, thank you.
Also on that page, you would also see the prospectus for Broadreach. They too are looking for a school of record. And Mats, would you like to give us a quick little overview of Broadreach?
Sure, thank you, Tony. Broadreach specializes in small group educational travel for middle school, high school, and college students. As Tony mentioned, we've been in the international education field for a little over 30 years, and in that time, have run programs in more than 40 different countries on a variety of academic subjects, from biology and conservation to arts and language, public health and urban design, and all sorts of other niche and unique things. Our current academic offerings are focused on biology, marine biology, wildlife science, and conservation. And in addition to our academic programs, we also offer a variety of non-academic programs throughout the summer focused on skill building and certification, and we coordinate faculty-led programming for a number of different high schools, colleges, and universities throughout the school year. Most of our trips are short term. They are typically between 2 and 4 weeks in duration. Small groups, 10 to 20 participants, and virtually all of them take place outside of the United States. And our courses are really designed to combine traditional classroom academic learning with field studies, hands-on field work, guest lectures, research, volunteer work associated with the field of study, and really kind of getting our students out into the field to see what life is like in the real world when you're studying the subject that we are focused on.
Well, that's really important to give some students that applied experience before they move into university. There's no doubt. Folks, I realized that my talent that I thought I had about creating a QR code apparently was unfounded because it didn't work. So there in the chat, my colleague Jonathan has pasted the link directly to the page where you can find the prospectus for LREU and Broadreach there. There's also another prospectus there for our very new partner. This is CSO. This is an organization that offers online education programming for U.S. matriculated students. So I invite you to check out CSO as well. One thing I just also want to mention, Mott's Broadreach has had a school of record for quite a long time, but every now and then, as we'll probably hear from Dr. Anderson later, is that sometimes schools shift. They shift in different academic directions, or sometimes providers shift in different academic directions. So therefore, the schools of record have to grow and mature together in partnership, and sometimes that changes. And so it's important to note that this is a partnership, and as partnerships change, so are your SOR needs. It is important, I think, for us to take a moment just to reflect on what is a school of record. And there are many ways to describe a school of record. I will just take the perhaps one of the more established definitions of a school of record from our association, the Forum on Education Abroad. And you can read this, and hopefully this QR code works, but a school of record relationship is when an accredited institution of higher learning documents and awards credit for programs or institutions that are not accredited. And what really that means for most of us is that many of our providers, they're not degree granting institutions. And so therefore, they're not accredited in the traditional sense of what we mean by accredited. Now, they may be recognized by their governments, but unless they're really degree granting, most US universities cannot accept a grade report. It has to come from an accredited institution, and that can also be an accredited institution in the home country, but more likely than not, it comes from a U.S. accredited institution as their school of record. You can read more about this. I'll leave this on the screen for just a minute. Okay, and I'm violating every webinar rule today, aren't I? Okay, so let's turn to the heart of this, and that is how it works. Okay, so first I'd like to ask Mats and Sergey, if you will, to to answer some questions that we'll have, and then we'll shift to Donna Anderson to talk about the institutional perspective, and then we'll talk with Ann to talk about how Gateway works and supports, or frankly, the logistics behind it all. So, Mats, why do you need a school of record?
Good question. I think for Broadridge School of Record, does a few things. First and foremost, it provides real value to our students by issuing academic credit that they can transfer to whatever institution they attend and use towards to graduation requirements. It gives them something to show for all their dedication and hard work to the study and the field of study that they're engaged in. For high school students in particular, academic credit can be a valuable tool to kind of distinguish themselves in the college application process. They really it highlights their passion for following their passion in a certain field of study, and I think sets them apart from their peers. And that's something that a lot of high school students and parents are looking for these days. Organizationally, the School of Record has some great benefits to Broadreach as well. It gives our programs a certain level of additional credibility that we're partnered with the university who's has oversight and helps us review our academic offerings, and so that parents and students can be confident that the courses that the content they're getting in the courses is rigorous and consistent with kind of higher education standard. And for us, for our academic development, it provides us oversight and feedback on the course content and new course development. So as we're working on new courses or updating our courses, we collaborate with the department faculty in our School of Record, and it's a collaborative process where we go back and forth, and I think it makes our academic syllabi and our course offerings stronger as a result.
Let me just follow up and ask you then. You've been doing this for a long time. Does the cost that it requires, is it worth it? Because you're paying for these transcripts. Is it worth it?
I do believe it's worth it, and that's why we continue to do it. For us, it's a real. I mean, I think that the benefits. It is expensive, I think on the whole, but the benefits far outweigh the costs.
Does every student on a Broadreach program get the transcript, or do they opt in?
They opt in, but virtually all of them do it.
Okay.
On all of our academic courses.
Maybe one other quick question. I know with your being a high school organization, primarily high school focused organization, do you know or have you tracked how many of your students do go on to university and college, and is there any predominance in going to your School of Record?
99% of our students go on to college. Our student population is extremely high achieving and academically motivated, and many of them go on to highly selective colleges, and lots of them go on to graduate degrees and additional programs. So the types of students that choose to study academics in the summer in college are the ones that tend to stick with academics for a while. We have had students go to our School of Record. I haven't tracked whether that is statistically significant as a result of participating in the program and getting the transcript from them. But we have certainly had students subsequently apply to and enroll in the School of Record that we have.
Well, it doesn't surprise me to hear that 99% number. We know high achieving students study abroad. High achieving students typically go on to university. High achieving students typically are retained and persist to graduation. Sergey, if I can ask you, you represent one of the most preeminent Russian language programs in the world. You've been doing this for quite a long time. Why would you need a School of Record?
Okay, we have cooperated with Daugavpils University as a school of record for a while. We offer more than 60 university level courses to our students with course descriptions, just absolutely standard university courses. And so far we have transferred these credits to US colleges without any difficulties. However, what we see, in some cases, we got requests from our US partners about, do you guys have US credit transfer? And we didn't. And from the other hand, we understand that for American students who make the vast majority of our student audience, providing US credits would be more attractive, would bring them more value, and add some additional credibility to the programs we offer. So it is a strategic positioning on our main market for us. Establishing a school of records partnership with an American university, we hope, will improve this positioning and add more value to our academic offerings. This is the key reason for us.
Well, I think that makes good sense. Now, in Mats's case, most of his students are using his courses for perhaps first-year credit. But in your case, you probably have third year and fourth year students who are taking advanced level courses. That's right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Do you have any trouble transferring those kinds of credits when they're more advanced level courses?
Not really, because again, even today, working with Daugavpils University, we can do this, but American School of Record could do it better and be more attractive. And we also hope that cooperation with an American university may help us to align our course portfolio and our course structure towards the American educational market. And so again, it will be more attractive and credible for our students.
Well, let me jump over to Anne for a minute. Anne, I know I have questions for you later, but let me just ask you a quick follow-on to what Sergey was saying. He has worked with a local an accredited institution there in Latvia. And it's a fine institution. Why doesn't he just use that as a transfer? Why is getting a US school, why is that really better?
Yeah, well, to get a transcript, even in ECTS, the European Union system, some US registrars, they might hesitate just a little bit, or they don't want to do the transference, but it really isn't that difficult. But Sergey and I have had a lot of conversations about why he feels that to have a US School of Record will just really solidify the work that students are doing for their US degree.
So let me just make sure I'm understanding. So you're saying generally the registrar, those responsible for transferring in the credit, may have an easier time with a US transcript versus an international transcript?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
Okay, very interesting. Okay, before we turn over to Donna, let me ask you gentlemen another quick question, and that is, when you're considering a partner, what is I guess in the United States, what would be an ideal partner? Maybe, Mats, would you kick us off?
Yes, of course. The school of record relationship, it really is a partnership, and I think that's very important. To us, there's a few pieces to that. One is that it's a good fit academically, and by that I mean that they have a strong department or degree program in the subjects that we are offering our programs in. And so currently for Broadreach, that's primarily biology, field biology, conservation, marine biology type programs, and that the faculty in that department understand and value field-based education, so that they kind of have a buy-in into the types of things that we're doing. That's usually pretty easy with biology. I think biologists tend to have a bias towards field work, although there's certainly biology departments that focus a lot more on labs and things like that. Tony mentioned we had a 20-year-long existing school of record relationship with a previous school of record. Ultimately, what happened with that relationship is that we are no longer a good fit academically. They basically canceled their biology department, and while they could still issue transcripts, they no longer have the kind of academic support and legitimacy that I think is really important for our program and for them to be able to accredit our courses. I think the other trait we look for in a school of record is collaboration and communication. It's really important that everyone is on the same page and that we have kind of open and frequent and consistent communication across the institution. And so that really requires buy-in to this relationship, not just from one administrator, but from the administrators, any of the faculty that are involved in course approval, the study abroad office, if that's part of the relationship, depending on the school. Really across the institution, there should be some buy-in to this relationship where they see value in the relationship and are approaching it in a collaborative fashion where they can see how they're bringing value to our courses and making our courses stronger and better, and how we're bringing value to the university as well.
That's helpful to hear that. Of course, that win-win partnership is really essential. Let me, in your case, because you're dealing mostly with high school programs, most of your university school of record is not going to send you students. But in your case, Sergey, how important it is to you to have a partner institution that is also placing students to study with you?
Okay, it would be an ideal situation because first of all, I need to say thank you to Mats because he has covered all major factors that are interesting to us as well. Because for me and for us, partnership is a key word in this case. It is not, of course, we are interested in the technically clear and effective process. Yeah, just to work efficiently. But ideally, we would like to see a school of record as a strategic partner who is interested in enhancing their own Russian or East European programs and increasing enrollment, taking advantage of this new partnership with us. So it's kind of a synergy between the School of Record as a university and us as a partner that can help them and cooperate with them in order to make their program somehow better as well. Yeah. So it's, again, this School of Record has a vision of improving and expanding their own programs, how their faculty is going to be involved in like academic cooperation with course planning, course design. All this matters. I hope to
I think that's interesting.
Tell more about this a little bit later.
Well, that's good, right? Because it's not just a win-win scenario. It really has to be synergistic, right? So one plus one equals 3 in this case. So let me. There's so many more things I want to ask the two of you, but let me bring Donna into the conversation now. Donna, you are an SIO. Everybody that knows you loves you and respects you. Why in the world would you want to be a school of record? Don't you have enough to do?
Well, that's a great tee up for me, Tony. And really, I'm gonna play off of both what Mats and Sergey have talked about. It's not just one person on the campus that makes this happen. It is absolutely buy-in. In our case, there are 3 different entities on campus involved in making these relationships work. So as SIO in the Global Engagement Office, I'm kind of the quarterback. So helping to vet and field and maybe bring in new SOR relationships that make sense, right? That are aligned with our, first and foremost, academically with our academic offerings, and certainly with our mission, so that we're aligned institutionally. And then a very key player, of course, I'm the minor player in my mind. The major players are our faculty. So nothing happens without the faculty approving, reviewing, being a willing partner. And usually that's the department chair is the real key partnership, but also the faculty who have specialty, who are specialized in the area of the courses that are being reviewed. And then our probably the biggest element that makes our SOR relationship successful here on our campus is what's called our Specialty and Extended Programming Office. So this would maybe on some campuses have been like your continuing education office, but has the ability to do quick admits and enroll students in outside of the regular term, so in the extended term, has that flexibility. Everything is aligned with authority from our governing bodies, so from both our accrediting agency and also with our Montana Board of Regents. There's a policy that this kind of relationship falls under. So everything is guided by, we have a school of record policy for extended credit programs and external academic partnerships for the university. We have, of course, the agreement with the SOR partner. And then we have internal MOUs between the academic unit, specialty and extended programs, and the global engagement office. And all of that is required to make these run smoothly. But what are the benefits? I mean, I think there's a lot of benefits. I'm going to kind of start with that whole idea about an opportunity to expand partnerships, right? Most of these school of record agreements are coming to us through faculty relationships, staff relationships, or partnerships that we've started that we wanted to turn into something more. I'll give the example. The one that Gateway helped us form was with the Spanish Institute for Global Education. And while we don't expect to have a lot of our students maybe going there during the regular academic term, we have a special relationship with SIGE whereby we have faculty-directed programs that go there in the summer. So we have like a special relationship with them in that regard. I think...
Which came first? Were you working with them before, or did you then started working with them?
We then started working with them. So when Gateway brought them to us as a potential partner, our Spanish faculty member said, this looks like a great opportunity for us to maybe extend this partnership to include faculty-directed program support. So, yeah. So that's for sure one way. I think, a big one for us, because we are a state institution, we're a R1 research institution, we believe in inclusive prosperity. We are looking for access opportunities. And I can't think of a better way to create access opportunities than school of record arrangements. You've got a solid program abroad that is not an accredited institution, but they are offering a quality product. And if they can find a partner that is accredited, that has vetted that product, then those students should receive credit. So I do think that's a big piece of it, is just the access. Some would argue right now with everything happening in the world with visas, really school of record agreements are kind of a form of transnational education, right? You've got learners based in another country that are receiving credit from an institution that's based in another country. So in some ways, this is a way to, expand your reach through a kind of a form of transnational education. I think that it has also in many cases increased our faculty investment in internationalization. So we have many of these SOR agreements are tied to specific faculty or departments, which is another reason why sometimes they do have to change if those faculty leave or that department goes away. But it certainly energizes the faculty who get engaged with these SOR agreements to be part of reviewing their course syllabi and kind of being a part of that, the success of that course being offered. So, and then I think I can't leave on the table, but certainly there's a benefit to the revenue sharing that happens on our campus through SOR agreements. So there's tuition that's charged, or a fee that's charged for a recording fee, and so that or that fee is shared with all of those parties that I mentioned here on our campus. So there's definitely some benefit
You're able to divide
financially.
that, like
Sorry?
you're able to share that per student fee with the registrar, for example, or other players. That's good to hear.
Correct. Yeah. So the academic unit that's reviewing the courses gets a share, the Global Engagement Office gets a share, and the Specialty and Extended Programming Office gets a share. Mhm.
That's interesting. You know, Donna, I'm a little surprised to hear that you say the faculty, it energizes the faculty. Normally, I often worry that it might be yet another burden on faculty members who are otherwise tasked with so many other things. But you have found there at Montana that the faculty members get pretty excited about it.
I think you'll find both.
Well,
So
okay, fair
I
enough.
think we have faculty who are absolutely energized by it. They are pumped about these programs, about the opportunity being out there for students writ large, but also maybe their students would be able to take advantage of these programs. And then there are faculty that maybe are less interested in engaging, and in those cases maybe we don't have as many opportunities to work with the organization to be the SOR, but I would say the ones that are interested in being a part of it are typically quite engaged.
Well, I suspect, I'm not sure exactly at Montana, but you generally are doing a periodic review of your partners, and I suspect that has them visiting and maybe working close directly with some of your partners. Is that the case?
Yes. I think particularly, I'm thinking of, well, SIGE would be one, the Spanish Institute. Our Spanish faculty have worked very closely with them on, especially at the initial stages with development of those course syllabi. Um, and also, yeah, one of our other foreign language programs, the faculty member has a very active role because it's a close partnership between her and the program leadership. Yeah.
Oh, that's good to hear. Okay,
Mhm.
I have so many questions, and golly, time is flying fast, and we have so many questions coming in. And I've just got to turn to you. Thank you, Donna. I'm coming back, but and let's pick up on what Donna was saying about the revenue share. Tell us how the revenue works. How does this all work out generally?
So most organizations charge when the student opts in for a transcript, and then the School of Records sets the fee for the transcript. Donna, honestly, I wouldn't call it tuition. I think it confuses people on campus, right? So it's a
Yes, please.
fee.
Sorry, that was
Yeah.
a slip. Not
Yeah.
tuition. It's like I
Yeah.
think we call it a recording fee or transcript fee.
Absolutely. And so, just really quickly, because I think, Tony, we could honestly just go to questions, but Mats and Sergey have presented their syllabi for interested institutions to review. And then I have a meeting with the person who's inquired from the institution to just have an initial talk. Once they can show me that, they're really serious and that basically they have an approval from the right person on campus to put their candidacy forward, then I would arrange a meeting with the program. Oftentimes institutions bring in faculty member, deans, VPs, whatever, for that discussion. And I know that Mats and Sergey have really appreciated seeing the interest from, beyond just say the Education Abroad office in engaging in that. You need, like Donna said, you need to have a way to swiftly enroll non-degree seeking students, which your institution likely already has. There might be some data entry on the part of the SOR when grade reports come in, unless for some reason you could automate that. But I think you've all talked about the fact that ideally it's really a collaborative partnership. It engages the faculty. Both Mats and Sergey have said that they would welcome faculty from their new SOR. And on occasion, plus, as an SOR, you have an obligation, I mean, as a best practice goes, to do on-site reviews at regular intervals. So every 5 years, it's on the program to cover the travel expenses so that maybe two people from the SOR institution and someone from a third entity go and do an on-site review. You're going to make some recommendations. You're going to, offer commendations. But the written document that you do as part of that review is really important because it's the evidence that will substantiate in an accreditation visit your role as an SOR. I don't know if I've said enough about revenue, but Tony, honestly, if you want to go to questions, that's fine.
Let me follow up on that, Ann. Let me specifically, in my opinion, or at least in my experience, some schools like to charge a fee tied to credit hours. I believe the more predominant model is having a flat fee per transcript, irrespective of credit hours. Is it true? Would you agree with me if I said the average flat fee per transcript is around $400?
Or 500. I mean, honestly, 450 seems to be in the research I've been able to do. However, one really important caveat is that if for some reason you need a very low number of transcripts annually, the per transcript fee will likely be considerably higher because there's economies of scale with that volume that is typically generated.
Very good. And so I think folks that are in the room today, we have both institutions and some providers in the room. And for institutions, you'll need to think about how you would set that fee. And for the providers, you'll need to think about how do you assess that fee. Do you build it into your program costs so that every participant, irrespective of their desire, has the transcript? Or is it an opt-in for that individual student who may or may not need? Because not every institution in the US will need that school of record transcript. So you'll need to think about how you want to price that or how you want to build that into your program cost. Does that sound right, Ann? Oh, okay. Okay, very good. Now, back to you. One more quick question, Don, and we'll go back to everyone. One of the things I often hear is that it's just too much work. Now, I would say that that's probably true, especially when kickstarting a new partnership. But does that continue to be the case over time?
No, I mean, the most time intensive and resource intensive is the startup. For sure, because you've got a lot of things, right? You've got the building the relationship, vetting the relationship, the faculty engaged with the curriculum review, vetting the organization's faculty, and then all of the getting the structures set up for the payments and for how the organization is going to send the enrollments to the SOR. So there's just a lot of startup, but once it's up and running, it is not a heavy lift. We do 3-year contracts. So every 3 years we review. Of course, anytime there's new curriculum or major changes in curriculum, those have to be reviewed at that point. And then as Ann said, there's site visits that happen on a regular basis that are supported by the organization. So I mean, in many ways, for the faculty in particular, it's the heaviest lift is just is the reviewing of the syllabi and the instructors, and then after that, it's not much of a heavy lift for most of them.
There's a little light at the end of that initial tunnel. Folks, not represented here on the panel today, but there is on the website that I mentioned earlier, CSO. And in that case, because that is a fairly large organization, they're offering quite a few courses. They're actually providing a startup cost to help with that front load of that it requires for faculty members to do some of this due diligence. And so they are actually providing a startup amount to help ease that administrative burden. And then, of course, because they are large, they also guarantee a minimum amount each year. Because whether you issue 1 transcript or 40, there's still a level of administrative oversight that the institution has to have. So those kinds of little nuances you might look at when you're considering to work with a provider as potentially their school of record, or as an institution when you're when you're setting out what you're looking for in providers. So now with that, I see we have a bunch of questions in the room, and so I'm going to try to address some of those questions. But folks, we're here now for you, and feel free to ask any questions that you have. Mons, I tell you, I think Marcus here has a crush on Broadreach. He wants to know if he can put in a bid or not. What do you think?
My
Yeah.
comment.
Yeah. And Anne made a comment that our timeline is pretty tight because most of our programs happen in the summertime, and so we are looking to have a partner that can hit the ground running and issue transcripts this summer. But otherwise, we're in the process of evaluating a few um, partnership proposals, but are always open to more.
Well, that's a good point, though, that you're making. So, Marcus, you might want to reach out to Anne here about Broadreach directly. But just know, folks, if you're an institution, you're thinking you want to be at a school of record, most of the time when a client will come to Gateway and ask Gateway to assist them in finding or identifying a U.S. institution, they usually are, they don't want to wait for us. They're really eager to get a school of record. So if you think this is on the horizon for you, go ahead and start tilling the soil there at your institution. Speak to the registrar, speak to any of at least the core freshman type of courses, if they are those directors of undergraduate studies and those types of people, see if they're open to this, your provost perhaps, or your accrediting office and folks like that. Think about those people to go ahead and get this ready, because when you have a potential partnership, we don't want to wait for 6 months for the contract to get negotiated for the very reason, is in this case, Mott's, his programs are largely happening in our summertime here in the US. And so we really need to be moving on that. So think about that. Now, there are other questions coming in. I see Noah, my good buddy Noah, is asking about some going rate, and Anne has addressed that. Think about your own workload vis-a-vis the type of institution you want. Whereas LREU is focused specifically or almost exclusively in a particular area, Mott's is focusing primarily on first-year courses. Most providers are looking for second, third, and fourth year courses. So think about where you want to find your sweet spot in that level of arrangement. Go ahead, Ann.
Well, I was going to say the fee is set by the SOR. Yet, when, Mats and Sergey get to select from among the proposals that get presented to them, price isn't the only factor to consider, but if there's someone who's really an outlier and a really high price point, that's going to weigh in on their decision because they're going to charge that per student. So, hopefully collectively, collaboratively, we're finding, a sort of mutually agreed upon, if you will. So I think that's something to remember.
Okay, that's good advice. So in a moment, we're going to do a quick lightning round. I'm going to ask you each for one piece of advice. But before that, there is a question in the Q&A about what's in it for Gateway. The simple answer is Gateway is a consulting company, and we are able to support provider organizations in identifying and securing a school of records. So if you are a provider in the room today and you might want a little help, you don't need to hire an organization like Gateway, but if you want some help to do that, then that's what we're here for, and we can help you to do that. If you're an institution and you want to be a school of record, we can help you find partners to support. And feel free to look at our website, and I'm happy to meet with anybody at any time. So Mats, I'm sorry, you're on the top left of my screen here. One piece of advice to anybody in the room today. What do you reckon?
Well, I guess I can speak mostly to providers because that's as opposed to school of record. But I would say if you're engaging this process, you should be, I think, both prepared. It's going to take a little while, right? You're dealing with academia, which doesn't always work as fast as everyone would like, and you should be prepared, right? So our courses, for example, our courses are all already built and designed. We have syllabi and lesson plans and assessments and rubrics and all the kind of things you would want in an academic course. We have that stuff ready so that when the school of record potential partner has something to evaluate to decide whether or not we would be a good partner with them. At the same time, you asked for one piece of advice, but I'll give you two. At the same time, we talked about this being a partnership, right? And so we're not so locked into our particular and any of those particular things that we're not open to feedback from the faculty that are reviewing the courses, and because it is a collaboration, and we're just trying to make it the best possible course for our students.
That's good to hear. Sergey, what about you, sir?
Oh, I totally agree with Matt because he has mentioned all major things. Yes, I also speak to providers mostly because I'm a provider. We are providers. So do some due diligence before thinking about the School of Record partnership. You have to be ready to present course descriptions, processes, policies, faculty members at your side. So be ready to present your work to a very serious and advanced potential partner who expect that you work on some decent level of as an educational institution. This is important. So there is a homework, and of course it takes some time to prepare and to look for potential partners, and so it's a process, but I'm grateful to Gateway who guides us through this process quite efficiently. Yeah.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate you saying that. And Donna, what do you think?
Yeah, maybe I'll give a piece of advice for School of Record institutions, maybe for those who are thinking about starting, or those who have been doing it a long time. You will know the importance of having a good process in place. So having all of the units on campus, the faculty, the registrar or continuing ed, whoever you're working with, making sure you've got those internal processes really well ironed out so that everybody's on the same page. And then I think just for both the SORs and the partners, just transparency, clear communication, and really approaching it as a partner and a mutual one.
Very good. Thank you, Donna. Anne, I'm going to come back to you in just one second. I just want to squeeze in one more question from my friend in Tennessee. Takeo Suzuki is asking about SACs. Now, everybody, if you know, we have our regional accreditors, and of course in the Southeast we have SACs or SACs CLC, and that is the accrediting body for many institutions in that region of the country. Most accrediting bodies are quite familiar with School of Record. But the best way to answer that question, Suzuki Sensei, is to reach out to another school in your neighborhood who is serving as a School of Record and talk to them about how they've done it. And do you want to add to that?
University of South Florida.
Oh, and there are
one.
many in the Sacs area.
Yeah.
The Sacs is used to this, and so generally there's no problem. What you don't want to do is if you have an internal accrediting person that helps in the with your annual credit or your renewals, to make sure that they're not caught off guard. And also, and if we have any registrars in the room, I apologize in advance. Most registrars will say no, thank you right away. But ultimately, they change their mind. I've never heard of a registrar ultimately saying we're not doing this, but they almost always say no, thank you right away. So don't worry about that. There's some of these little hurdles, and accreditation generally isn't one. The registrar generally isn't one, but you do want to follow Donna and the other advice that's shared here today. Get your ducks in a row. This is not an easy lift. It's not actually hard, but it's just conceptually, it's not that easy. And before I make a public PR announcement, any final thoughts from you?
Well, I was just going to say, like you said, Tony, if a school is interested and someone's listening, go get a pulse, go start talking to people on your campus. And also, I would be happy to hear if anyone at an institution right now, because what really surprises me, both from when I was at Minnesota and now at Gateway, is how many inquiries we get, both from interested institutions, but also programs that are seeking an SOR. There's really a need out there for good, good partnerships. So I would love to hear from schools that are, considering. I'd be happy to talk with them.
Thank you, Ann. And folks, if you ever need a matchmaker in your life, there's no one better than my dear friend Ann Hubbard. So feel free to reach out to Ann. You can contact her through our website or here in the chat today. Everybody, thank you so much for being here today. Please join me in thanking Mats Mueller from Broadreach, Sergey Semenov from Learn Russian in the European Union, and Dr. Donna Anderson from the University of Montana, and Dr. Ann Hubbard. Thank you all very much for being here. And all of our participants, I know you probably have many more questions, so make sure you download that guide I mentioned a little bit earlier. I'll put that back on the screen here momentarily. Also, if you're not familiar, we do have the free Education Abroad provider directory. This is a directory of providers. So if you're looking for a partner in a particular discipline or a particular area of the world, just go ahead and take a quick search in that directory and you may be able to find new partners to work with. And the whole point of us, Gateway, creating that directory is to try to bring organizations that we're not terribly familiar with, bring them all into a platform, because your best partner in Education Abroad may not be the organization you normally work with. So go and try to find other partnerships here, and that directory is designed for that. Also, many of you are organizing, all of us seem to be organizing these faculty-directed cohort programs where we're taking a group of students abroad as a cohort. Gateway has developed a blind process for you to be able to submit your proposal. It will go out to providers and they can respond to your custom program request. It's totally free for you. It's totally free for the providers. This may help you to further enhance your efficiencies in working with these custom programs. So everybody, once again, thank you very, very much. I'm going to go quickly up to this top screen here, and apparently the QR code doesn't work, but if you make your way to Gateway's website, you'll be able to download this School of Record guide. Everybody, let me wish you a good remainder of the week, and thank you very much.